Dang, these noodles are too tall. Breaks the spaghetti in half. Meanwhile, every Italian in a 500-mile radius. In a split second, I've offended an entire country. I'll probably never be seen again after this. I wonder why this is such a big deal though. The reason is because it's supposed to wrap around your fork. Therefore, it's long enough to both stick to itself and get entangled in a way that it doesn't slip off. Okay, I guess that does make sense. If you're gonna eat spaghetti, you gotta do it like this. Like at this point, you're pretty much just eating mac and cheese with marinara sauce. How do you even eat this, actually? The first slogan on a US coin was not "In God We Trust," but actually "Mind Your Own Business." Man, why didn't we stick with the original saying? That just makes way more sense. Ha. Get it? I actually didn't even mean to do that. His first coin was made in 1787 called the Fugio cent. Benjamin Franklin made it. I just wonder why he decided to go with these words down at the bottom. Were they still flexing on the British? Throwing the tea in the ocean wasn't enough. Shouldn't have raised our taxes. Men lost at sea for 29 days. Says it was a nice break from reality. Ah yes, there's nothing better for the human spirit than some dehydration and heat stroke. Possibly visions of the afterlife as your life force barely holds on. I need to do something similar. Chess MFers looking up a random place on Earth to name a move after. Were you saying the entire chess community are also geography experts? That does make sense, I have to admit. I only knew about the Queen's Gambit, but apparently there's also the English opening, the King's Indian Defense, the Scandinavian Defense, even the Danish Gambit? Or they clearly just started running out of places. You get way more into chess. Patrick says, the third time is the charm. Meanwhile, Charles III? How about Napoleon III? How about Terminator 3? The third partition of Poland? The Third Crusade. And finally, the worst of all. Oh, yeah. Okay, maybe I should have saw this coming. This is the most random bunch of third things I've ever seen. Can't wait till World War III drops and see where that ends up on this list. Teacher, you got an F for history. Me, that's impossible. I have first-hand experience. Meanwhile, my first-hand experience. Are you telling me that there's more to history class than basically what I've played and seen in Assassin's Creed games? This is BS. I don't even enjoy playing those. I just do it for the educational value. This reminds me of how literally everyone just assumes I've never been in a gang before. No one remembers the streets like I do. How my friends play strategy games versus how I play strategy games. If you're going into it with a plan, you're literally doing the very first thing wrong. Just click buttons and just figure it out as you go. My enemies are always guessing my next move because I don't even know what's my next move. Joe Biden was born November 20th, 1942, meaning he was born closer to Lincoln's second inauguration on March 4th, 1865 than his own inauguration on January 20th, 2021. This is the most incredible fact. How have we just now realized this 3 years into his presidency? Man's been waiting forever for this job. Technically even longer than Charles. I guess the difference is Joe Biden didn't know he was going to be president at the age of like 10. I guess that's kind of the key factor here. British artists' accents once they start singing. See, that's how you know the British accent isn't actually real. Behind closed doors, they just speak normal. If you can't sing with the accent, clearly you're just making it up. I will say you can hear the accent in British rap though. Clothes were invented in 6500 BC. People in 6499 BC. I'm afraid to admit this meme actually took me way too long to understand. I actually had to go and look it up. Okay, so we know what people looked like the year after clothes were invented, but what about before they were invented? I'm gonna need some information about that. Americans choosing the most diabolical, cringe-inducing names for their sports teams. I actually didn't realize this until right now. I think this meme kind of has a point. I mean, just think about some of these team names purely from an objective perspective. They are a bit strange. Obviously, some more than others. What even is that? The only truly great American sports team is from this high school. They named themselves the Turks. Could you imagine if there was some high school in Turkey where they just randomly named themselves the Californians? It's just like some dude with a surfboard. It's always been strange to me that Houston decided just to call themselves the Texans. Like, what's stopping every state from just naming themselves after their home state? Well, I guess Indiana actually already does that. Flat earthers can't explain this. This was their ultimate checkmate. This is actually the one gift that kind of got the whole movement just to be quiet. I haven't heard from them in a long time. Once they saw this, they're just like, all right, I guess we're wrong. The Bermuda Triangle before the 2000s versus the Bermuda Triangle after. Has anything ever had a bigger fall off? Because I don't think so. This thing beforehand was just taking out ships and planes, anything, you name it. It's almost like once we got better technology to keep track of all that stuff, the Bermuda Triangle wasn't actually cursed. Interesting that out of all the things they could have named this triangle after, they started with Bermuda up here. Why not the Florida Bermuda Triangle. That'd make more sense for it being so weird. Interestingly, Wikipedia has a number of possible explanations. Probably all have a slight impact on all the missing stuff that's happened over the years. More great content from the Durnil subreddit. In green, the countries that look like a chicken nugget from McDonald's versus in red, the countries that don't look like a chicken nugget from McDonald's. Now, the problem is you need Northern Ireland to form this chicken McNugget. I mean, I guess you could say this is still a chicken nugget, except it has a bite out of it now. No, but I can confidently say if I went to McDonald's right now, I would definitely get a chicken nugget that looks just like this. It's not even a question. Like, I already know. It's a guarantee. It's like they pour the chicken McNugget batter in, like, Ireland-shaped cups. One of the most important discoveries in the 21st century. Help me find a meme. It's that ancient Mesopotamian version of meme of that cell phone sending waves and turning that crying baby into a skull. This person's giving you the exact place where to find it too. Good thing I've been brushing up on my ancient Mesopotamian on Duolingo recently. I was able to read this entire review of somebody's horrible copper. The more things change, the more things stay the same. The Pythagorean theorem was discovered around 500 BC. Meanwhile, people before 500 BC. Now this is like one of those memes that require a 2000 IQ, so it's a little bit advanced for me, I'm gonna be honest. But after weeks of searching through the archives and 3 days of no sleep, I think I can finally say I've confidently been able to figure it out. Since it was before this theorem was discovered, he couldn't solve the hypotenuse, which means he had to do the straight down. He couldn't walk in a line in a more faster way. I don't think I can explain it any better. Man, it must have taken forever to walk to places back in those days. End up doing like 10,000 steps in your own house. Inquisitors transferred from heaven to hell after an update to the church policy. Witches weren't real after all, sorry. And of course, they're gonna have to scream angry Spanish noises. The language of the Inquisitors. How beautiful. Man, don't you hate when a new patch drops and it just ruins everything? I'm reverting back to the day one release version. The dinosaur who saw a shooting star and wished to see more shooting stars to get more of its dreams come true. Unfortunately for this little guy here, he was only going to get that first dream to come true. He wouldn't have enough time to say any of his other wishes. But you know what, man? That first dream sure was enough. A random European princess meeting the Habsburg prince she's been forced to marry. It took like 10 generations for them to gain this power, but it was worth it. The best part about this is it wasn't a random European princess. It was actually the Habsburg's cousin or sister. I don't know. Send me to Ukraine. I'll solve everything in 2 days max. How they think wars are fought nowadays. I'm pretty sure this would work, honestly. Why don't we have 1,000 of these on the battlefield? It'd definitely be a nice distraction. The Red Cross organization, when they hear about a random indie game that has a vaguely cross-shaped red object in it. Yeah, the Red Cross does not mess around. They literally go into Hulk mode when they see this. You are not allowed to have a red cross. So, yes. That was the actual imposter among us all along. Who could have guessed? This animal in different languages. In English, we have capybara. In Italian, we have capybara. In French, we have capybara, and in German, we have Wasserschweinen. I know that I like mispronounced the others probably from the Italian and French version, but I don't know, I tried my best. It does seem like one of those animals that, you know, we would unanimously agree it's definitely called a capybara. Who looks at this thing and says, yeah, that's definitely a washer schnitzel. Hawks, when they hear their screech, dubbed over footage of a bald eagle. They never get any of the recognition. I'm actually not surprised at all that they do this, though. There's probably countless examples of it, too. Gotta admit, though, these things definitely don't sound as cool as they look. And this is our American national animal? Sailor 1, what would we do with a drunken sailor? Sailor 2, put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Meanwhile, the captain, yeah, how exactly is Sailor 2 not walking the plank after this? Even just suggesting this idea. Actually, probably something way worse, to be honest. What kind of prank are you trying to pull? Good old sea shanties, though. Throws a girl in water. If she floats, she's a witch. 2 seconds after she begins to sink. Looks like we might have made a small error in our calculations. And I thought the fact that she could do math was enough proof already. I hope I'm forgiven. Life of a philosopher in a nutshell. Step 1, birth. Step 2, why though? Step 3, death. Man, oh man, how exciting is that? And now everyone remembers your name. It was that easy. Man, I messed up not becoming a philosopher. Dolphins in the media versus dolphins in real life. Meanwhile, sharks in real life versus sharks in the media. Yeah, one animal has just invested way more heavily in their PR, and it really shows. I think I would take a small shark over some of the things that dolphins be doing. I mean, a lot of times the shark's not even gonna mess with you, although I don't really want to test that theory. Pediatricians saw these toys and went, yo! We're gonna buy exactly one of these in the 1970s and then keep keep it in the office for 50 years. You know what though? It works, because even when I see one of these, I've got to like move the little bowls around just to make sure this is actually working. Like a worldwide experience too, I feel. Tourism in Japan versus life in Japan. A bit more dark and depressing if you actually live there. But man, oh man, for 2 weeks just to sightsee, it's great. Rain be like... I think I just spit all over my desk. But you know what? It was totally worth it. Another fun fact about sharks. Sharks don't know the camels exist. Thank you. Have a nice day. I would be willing to bet that a camel hasn't just like fallen into the ocean and a shark has seen it. I think it's very unlikely, even if you're considering the last thousands of years. I mean, if you look at the ranges of camels, I would say they're probably put most at risk in Australia to meet a shark. But then they have to like literally fall or just start swimming into the ocean and then meet a shark. Yeah, I just think it's unlikely. 5, 10, 20, and then the excuse me while I speak to my manager. Any bill that gets a little bit too high throughout the world, and for some reason this number turns into I need to speak with my manager first. All of a sudden you want to check it in the light and stuff. So I'm just gonna wait. I don't think I should say that. I could incriminate myself. Greek people, when someone uses the W as a stylized W. I just called it the W. The Greek W? What is this letter called? Oh, the omega? That's the omega? I thought the omega was something else. Oh yeah, I thought it was that. I guess I didn't think that there was another version of it, a lowercase version. That's really the lowercase version that you came up with? A stylized W for a horseshoe that's upside down? Yeah, but anyways, they really don't like when you do this because it's not an actual W. They're gonna have a brain aneurysm. This is probably the exact same reaction the Germans have when I call this character the German bee. Bruh. That wasn't even supposed to come up. Anyways, let's go. Greece mentioned. And big thanks to my patrons. I am the kidnapper and I've moved Drew to a Patagonian
Australia
village.
is real.
Drew's
I'm not a paid
Argentinian
actor. The
grandpa.
slow depressing
Drew
Portugal
Durnil
collapse.
colorblind.
Carmel
Is
Saida.
Amateur.
Archaeology.
Phresh.
I've
Animations.
almost managed to escape the imposter.
RyeThePie. KirinoIsBestGirl.
The great
Polish-Lithuanian
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth.
Why.did.the.real.Drew.pay.his.imposter.
$20.